Welcome to the Inspection Empire Builder podcast. Did you know that at IEB, we do one-on-one coaching? If you go to iebcoaching.com, you can pick from a list of people that will deep dive into your business one-on-one to help you work out the kinks or get over some of the hurdles that you're trying to get over. There's multiple coaches in there specifically designed for different sizes of groups or teams, including yours truly. I'm on there. So if one-on-one coaching is something that you're looking for, that's a service that IEB also offers. So make sure you check out our website, iebcoaching.com, go to the one-on-one coaching and find the coach that fits you the best. And welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you tuned in today. Today we're hanging out with James Crawley from Crawley. Did I say that right?
No, it's Crowton.
Crowton.
Yes,
Crowton.
there you
Sorry.
go. You hit it, my friend.
I totally messed up your last name, James Crowton. And I know you're out, I believe, in Ohio. Is that correct?
Yes, actually, we are located here in North Royalton, Ohio. It's a suburb of Cleveland. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Nice. Excellent. Yeah. And so we actually connected. I've seen you around at some events, but we connected earlier this year on a different podcast episode. And now we're coming back, and we're going to talk a little bit on an update of kind of like, where have you been? What have you been up to? And so let me know, man, how's business going for you? I think last time we spoke, you had just hired an inspector and you were hoping that was going to work out. How is that going?
It's going okay. It's definitely a process you have to go through because you might find the right candidate. He or she has a great background, great education. Then you bring them into the field. They're not personable and you got to go through a process. So the last guy I hired, brought him on. He was cool. He was great. But until he started not replying to texts or not answering my phone calls or it was kind of like wear booties in the house. Those little things I started telling him to do, he wasn't doing. So I cut him loose. So now we go through interview process. So, but the one I hire now, he's great. He's amazing. So
that's really good. Yeah. Finding the right candidate is so difficult. And when you put a good process in place on hiring, it really helps to get you narrowed down and it helps candidates filter out too. A lot of them will self-select out because the process is such a way that, they realize this probably isn't a place I want to work. Or along the way, you realize as the owner that maybe this isn't the person I want working here. And they say be slow to hire, fast to fire. Mm-hmm. And that's
true.
That's really good. One thing that's really helped me and my company on the hiring process is we've really embraced the RSTMM hiring process that we do with inside of the IEB community. And there's lots of processes and filtration points and different ways and methods in which to recruit and select and find candidates and all that stuff. But I found great success in that program that we teach within IEB. And it's really been a huge help to me and my company. And ever since we implemented that, the quality of candidates that we have been finding and fielding has gone up significantly in quality. And so it's been a huge help for us. Yeah. And so, okay. So you guys going good. And so I got to know, so is he out on his own all the way? Is he still in training?
He's actually still in training. He got his schooling all completed. I was actually going to take the National Inspector exam actually this Friday. So fingers crossed on that. I kind of pulled him out of the field for 2 weeks so I could focus on the exam. Mm-hmm. Even though I want him to learn the trades, I want him to focus on studying because I told him you got 24 hours in a day, eat, sleep, breathe at the exam, and you'll be fine. So he's taking it this week. Once he passes, I'm pulling back out. Then here in Ohio, you have to get 10 parallel inspections. So I'll sign off on that. And then we also offer a 16-week training course here, up close inspections. We break that down by electrical, plumbing, rust, foundation, etc. So from there. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, very cool. So Ohio is a licensed state, is that correct?
Yes, we are a licensed state. So we're licensed. I think we got licensed in 2019. So yeah, right around there.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So New Mexico, which is where I'm at, we became a licensed state in, I think it was 2021. is when we became licensed. And I started my company in 2019. So yeah, we are, our first inspection was April of 2019. So what does that mean? We've just finished 6 years of being in
Yeah.
business, I think. Yeah. So,
Yeah. 6 years.
yeah, yeah. And it's, and it's been a wild ride, we took off with growth really quickly. And so when during COVID, even before COVID, we were exploding with growth. And then when COVID hit, it became an amplifier for my business, mostly because a lot of other seasoned inspectors were older in my community. And a lot of them were worried about COVID, rightfully so. And a lot of them stopped doing inspections. And so the supply and demand ratios just tipped in my favor because people were buying houses left and right. And so the demand went up and then the supply went down because a few of the inspectors in my community decided to stay home and stay safe. And I said, hey, let's just pedal to the metal and we'll live dangerous, And so we went for it.
That's the year actually that's the year we got in inspections. So
It was 2020.
2020 is the year I got back into inspections because I was doing inspections back in Michigan,
Hmm.
South Toledo area. Then actually before COVID, I mean, before the recession hit, my wife I got out of it. So my wife's a realtor with Russell Real Estate. And when I met Linda online, she was a realtor at the time was Danbury in Toledo. I think they're still around. And I was a carpenter by trade and my chef by trade and did inspections on the side. But I didn't really take this business off fully until right after we got into COVID. During COVID, I went back, got my license, got everything because we're a licensed state now. Back then we weren't. Now I got my license and got everything rocking and rolling. Ever since then, it was like exploded. It's been up, up, up every year. So it's been great.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. And so that's really good. And so I think offline you had told me you're up. Was it like 15% or something year over year? Was it
18%. Yeah, 18%
18%?
from last year. Yeah.
That's fantastic,
Yeah.
man. That's really great growth.
Thank you.
And yeah, that's really good. And so what are some of the things that you've implemented to help you with your growth over the last stretch?
I think a lot of it helped was adding on additional services. So we started doing more sewer scopes. We do radon testing, termite. We do mold inspections, and we started doing water sampling. So adding those services on and also bundling those services too for our clients really helped out a lot. We also started doing, not in-house, I farm it out, septic and well inspections because we have a lot
Okay.
of clients out here buy homes in rural area and need a septic and well. So I farmed that out. So it's nice you keep everything in one. It's just like when they call in, we do everything in-house. Well, not really, but I could farm it out, but still keep it in like within us, for instance, say, okay, well, God, call him for a septic, call him
Yeah.
for a well. No, I already have contacts to take care of it.
No, I think that's really smart. I think making it as easy as possible for realtors and for home buyers, one call, we do it all kind of concept, I think is really important. Subbing out is a little bit of extra headache in some ways. But it's also, you capture that client and yeah. And then realtors, because realtors will recommend you. And so making it easy for the realtor and making it fast, friction free and easy for them. It's like, they don't want to have to call and coordinate 6 different vendors to come out and look at this house. They have been, but when you have a company like yours or even mine and do the same thing, it's like one call, we do it all. And then it's like one, and then they know us, they like us, they trust us. And then it just makes it really easy. Something that really helped us too, just continuing to add ancillary services. And yeah. And so the first one we added was radon testing. And it's a big deal here. I know it may not be a big deal in everybody's area, but radon testing was the first one I added. And that's only because I was noticing that almost every single house that I was doing a home inspection on, I noticed that there was a licensed termite inspector doing a termite inspection, and then that required a license. And so that was going to be a little harder to get. And then I noticed everybody was getting sewer scopes. That seemed like a really popular thing to have. And so, but those cameras are expensive and I didn't really know what I was doing. So I thought, I don't know if I can do that yet. And then the radon testing. And I thought that looks pretty easy. And the radon monitors are cheaper than sewer scopes. And so that was my,
Oh, yeah.
that was my logical conclusion of what service to add. And so I added radon testing. So then it was doing home inspections and radon testing. And then it wasn't too long after that I was like, okay, I think sewer scope might be the way to go. And so then started saving my pennies and bought an entry level sewer scope system and started working on sewer scoping. And then So just one ancillary service at a time. Just kept adding it on, because the name of the game too is you want your average ticket to go up. And so if your average ticket is $500, it's like, okay, how can I get this 600? Well, if I add ancillary services, it's the same phone call, but I get to charge more money. And so yeah, it's like that game of like, I'm add a little more, add a little more. And so then pretty soon you start seeing, an average of 600 to 700 to $800. And my company now, it's not uncommon to see $1,000, $1,200 tickets every day. And so we see that on a regular basis. Now we also have, the $500 tickets coming through too, but the ones that have like the $1,000 plus tickets always have ancillary services on them. And so you just can't get to the bigger ticket numbers unless you start adding those ancillary services.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the way
Yeah.
it is. That's exactly how it is. So, you can make that's on one thing about our industry, Matt, is that there's no limit to what we can do. We do
Right.
commercial too. Actually, I had a commercial inspection this morning. It was like a three apartment complex, 12 units per complex. So commercial, we do commercial as well. So I think once you do everything in house, we eventually want to bring have our own sewer inspector and well inspector. Right now, it's just a slow. It's not, I won't say slow process, but it's a process you want to take your time and do it right because you go so fast. Hire somebody, you know, it's you don't want to go there. You should have a process, a system and process. And that's what IEB teaches us a lot is how to have a process, organize how to do things in an efficient and effective way. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got it. You got to have that. And that's one thing I like about IEB too, is that part of this mastermind community is that we're all learning from each other, and no one person has all the answers. And that's the part that I really like, is we get on these calls, and they group us up with calls throughout the week, and so whether you're, just getting started, and you're trying to figure out how to get your business launched, there's a group for that. Maybe you're a solopreneur and things are going really well, but you're trying to add your first inspector. Well, there's a group for that, and then and then there's somebody else that has maybe 3 or 4 or 5 inspectors, and the owner who's still out in the field is saying, how do I get out of the field? I want to figure out how to get out of that. Well, there's a right size group for that, because the challenges that you face when you're first starting your business is different than when you're trying to hire your first and second inspectors, which is different than when you're at the place of like, how do I get out of the field? And then, you start to scale and scale. So every size of business, and then you have, other groups where, maybe you have a whole bunch of inspectors, and you're running, a pretty big operation. And so there's like different challenges at every one of those company sizes. And so it's great because we get to hang out in the groups of people also fighting the same battles with us. And so it's encouraging to be able to hang out together and to work together and then learn from each other and how we're getting past these different barriers. And then there's coaches that help in the group coaching sessions and stuff. And I think it's been great. It's really helped my business explode. One of the things that really helped my business grow in the very beginning, though, was I had a few like lucky breaks. I think every success story, as you have to be honest, like there's some lucky breaks along the way, and then I was able to be in a position to take advantage of those, And so when I was first getting started, a friend of mine was a realtor, and I told him, "Hey, I'm doing this thing," and he's like, "Listen, man, I got inspector. That's really, really good." He's like, "So just because I'm your friend doesn't mean I'm going to send you business right away. Like I have to take care of my clients too." And I said, "Yep, I get it. Let me, can you let me do one?" And he's like, "Well," I was like, "Can I come do a free inspection on your house?" And he was like, "Okay." And so I did that, earned some trust. And then he invited me. He's like, "Hey, my brokerage office is looking for sponsors for our customer appreciation event. And it's going to cost you a couple $100, to be a sponsor." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I did, I paid the $200. I went to the event. And when I got there, I showed up early because I was like, I don't really know. I've never done this as far as in this industry. I don't know what this looks like. So got there early and I started helping them set up. So realtors are setting up tables and chairs and tents. So I'm helping them just set up tables and chairs and tents and just set up all the stuff for the event. And then I hung out for the event, and I didn't have brochures. I didn't have pamphlets. I had nothing to give away because I was literally just getting my business started. And all I had was a polo shirt with my logo on it, and that was it. And and then at the end of the event, I helped them clean up. So I was taking trash out to the dumpster. I was picking up tables and chairs and moving them back inside. And the qualifying broker for that office was like, "Who's that guy? Is that another realtor in our office I don't know about?" And they're like, "Oh, no, nobody knew who I was." And then someone's like, "Hey man, who are you? Why are you helping out?" I was like, "Oh, I'm just one of the sponsors. I'm a home inspector." And so then the qualifying broker pulled me aside at the end and she's like, "I don't get it. Like, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Well, I'm one of the sponsors. I'm helping out." And so she was like, "Well, you just had to pay money." And I was like, "You don't have to do this other stuff." And I was like, "Well, I know, but like, I don't mind helping, you know?" And so she was like, "Huh." And that opened the door for me to be able to have a conversation with her, a different one. She said, "Call me sometime." And so I called the office. I talked to her, and then she said, "I'd like you to come share at our sales meeting and our weekly sales meeting." And so went to the weekly sales meeting, and I'm pretty good with public speaking. And so and I showed up in slacks, a sport coat, a button up shirt. Like I dressed like a realtor. I looked like a realtor when I showed up, and I didn't look like a home inspector. And and I came in and gave a very professional 5-minute presentation. And at the end of it all, everybody's like, "Hold on, you're a home inspector?" And it's like, "Well, yeah." And so at this point in time, I think I'd inspected 2 houses, and and that office was like so impressed with me. And in my head, I was like, I'm a good at public speaking, but and I can move tables and chairs, but I don't know if I'm a good home inspector yet. I didn't tell them that, but inside that was my thing. And so then pretty soon I started getting booked from that office. And because I was good with people and I was a good inspector, I think, but I was really good with people. And so because I was good with people, they kept booking me and my business started to really take off. And so some realtors use the term farming, like they find a neighborhood that they want to invest in and they really like work that one neighborhood. That was my brokerage office. I decided, well, this office, there's an open door. I'm going to work this office as hard as I possibly can to get as much business out of this one office. And so I focused all of my growth and marketing efforts into that one office. What I didn't know at the time that I do now is that that office happened to be one of the top performing brokerage offices in the entire state. And so I just started working that office and realized that some of the biggest realtor teams in the city were in that office. And so the lucky break is I happen to know a guy that was in that office that said, "Hey, do you want to sponsor this thing?" That was a lucky break, but that was the door that opened. But then what I did with it is I just approached it like a servant's attitude of like, how do I help? And and all the way through, I maintained that. Just how do we help? How do I help? How do I help? How do I help you?
Exactly. Exactly. That's the thing, though. You got to come with a mindset of a servant and have a servant's
Yeah.
heart. You can't
Yeah.
go in there, walk in there with your brochure, your shirt on, like, okay, ABC inspections. Here's my brochure. Do you look at your brochure? Okay, nice. See ya. Bye. Get away from me. It's like, and that's the thing, though. It's like inspectors don't realize that these are human beings. These are people. They're not vending machines. Okay. You go in there, you want to help. It's true. I mean, you go in
I
there to
love
help
that.
your,
Yeah. They're
your,
not vending machines. Yes.
no, they're not. Was one inspector's like, oh, it's one realtor I work with. He hasn't called me in like 3 days. Well, probably doesn't ain't no buyer. I mean, honestly, the thing is though, you can't go in there with a mindset of what's in it for me. You have to think what's in it for them. Because in my business, I treat people how I want to be treated. They have business, I have business. I'm here to help them grow their business. That's the reason why we exist. Because we have actually sponsored a couple of events in the past, and I don't expect anything out of it. To tell you the truth, I want to go. Only thing I want to expect out of it is that they can know me because Maya Angelou says a quote, and this quote is actually the foundation of my business. It's so true. She said this: "People will not remember what you said or did. People will remember you by how you made them feel." And that's how I grow my business by that. So
100%. They do. They remember how they felt. They don't remember what you said. And yeah, and that's the memory that will carry with them. Yeah. And I think it's really good to have a servant's mindset. And like we're all on the same team. Like, we're trying to help people buy and sell houses, like and not get sued. But like, but like that guy, well, like, someone wants to sell their house so much so that they signed a contract with a real estate agent to put a sign in their yard and advertise it and do all these things. And then you have a buyer who wants to buy this house so much so they wrote down in writing, "I want to buy this house for this much money." And they really want, that guy wants to sell, this guy wants to buy it. And then in the process of due diligence, we come along and, and sometimes home inspectors get a bad rap of being like deal killers and all these things. And it's like, if we approach it as if, "Hey guys, we're all on the same team. You really want to buy this house. and they want to sell this house. Let's just make sure you're going in eyes open. And if we go in and approach it that way, now we're helping everybody get what they really want. And for us to come in, sometimes I think inspectors could be a little bit arrogant if we're not careful. Be like, well, I know everything about the house. I'm going to
Right.
teach you a thing or two. And it's like, yeah, you probably could, but the reality is like this family wants to buy this house, and let's just help them understand what they're getting into without scaring them off, and give them the right education, and like everything's fixable. Like these, yeah, the roof's a little older, but that's how it works. If you know, when you buy these houses, like some stuff's new, some stuff's old.
Exactly right. Because we have a lot of old houses here in Cleveland, and I go and inspect. Well, I'll tell you a story, but I'll tell you my story. I had one realtor reach out to me. He goes, James, I like using your company because you don't scare my clients away. It's a lot. One inspector, I gave him a shot, and he came in there. My a new family, new buyers, young couple, real excited. She, for the sake of time, long story short, she said at the end they were almost in tears because how he talked to them, how he scared them away, trip hazard, electrical issues. It's just how he was talking to them. He was explaining things in a way they can fix it. Explaining the ways in technical terms they used and inspectors use is scare the client away. And so what we do differently here at Up Close Inspections, we work with a lot of agents because I'm married to a realtor. And I personally know, in the bottom of my heart, the struggles, the late nights they go through. I see my wife on her own two eyes. She walked in my one time I was in the kitchen making dinner. She comes home, she's like complete tears. She goes, I can't handle this. What? I was like, this guy I showed him 17 houses for. Then we finally put their offer and he's like, he's like, I'm just my way to reset, on my way to a housing market crashes or whatever. He's just using people. And the thing is, though, I don't know if you want me to touch on it now, but I worked with a lot of great realtors who are in the industry who got out of it because, in all honesty, as I think a lot of brokers just sell them sunshines and rainbows and thinking, oh, this is like selling sunset. You could drive a Porsche, you could drive Mercedes Benz, and you can lose $1 million house. No, it's
Yeah.
because so they tell them, like, okay, go to school, go to Honduras or in person. They go to school, come out, they go to their brokers, get their license, and they're ready to go. Okay, great. I'm ready to start. Okay. You see that telephone? You see the computer? Yeah. Start calling. Wait, I don't get leads? No, you can find your own leads. There's like, call your family members. Call my family members. I'm not calling Uncle Bob. He's the alcoholic, or whoever, some people, trust me, we have some family members we don't want to talk to. You know what I mean? It's like, no, I'm not calling my family member. They live out of state. I have a couple here in Ohio. That's about it. They live like 3 hours away from me. You're like, no, I got to find somebody here in the area. So it's like, you got to find your own leads. So they go on Zillow, pay for your leads. They got to pay for zip codes. It's a very high turnover industry. It's a very hard industry. And I personally know from bottom of my heart what they go through every day. And that's the reason why a lot of agents like work with us, because we help explain things with their client in a non-alarming way. So
Yeah, I can't imagine being a realtor. I think that is one of the hardest jobs that I've watched. I mean, there's a lot of hard jobs, but it's not hard in the sense of like, you're covered in coal, digging out like a mine underground, like, or working on an oil rig hard. But it's hard in the sense that it's almost like emotionally and mentally hard, because you're right. Like you watch TV shows and they basically dress really nice and they wear all this jewelry and they're driving Porsches and Ferraris and like that, whatever their luxurious lifestyle looks like, and it looks like on TV that they don't really work at all to sell these houses, and that they don't put that much time and effort in. And the reality is that in order to build a real estate business that looks like something on TV requires an insane amount of hard work and dedication and sleepless nights and discipline like you've never seen before. And it takes an insane amount of work to get that done. And it doesn't really show that on TV. And then people will say, "Oh, I think I can be a realtor. I'd love to sell houses." And the amount of realtors I know that are out there working really, really hard for many, many years and still don't really make it because they just aren't able to jump past that hurdle. And it is really, really hard work. And you're right. It's not like I got my license, so where's my Porsche? Does that come the next week? Or Like, is that part of the licensing process? Like it's not that easy. And which is true for every business, like my business, I've worked really, really hard, lots of sleepless nights, and it cost me a lot to get it to where it is today, and it's running really, really well. And that right now people will look at what I'm doing and they're like, it doesn't seem like Matt works that hard these days. And it's like, well, I don't work as hard as I used to. That's for dang sure, and it's the same thing with your business, right? Your business now is growing and doing well. And in the beginning, you have to work insanely hard with very little results. And it's the same with a real estate agent. And on top of that, I feel like with realtors, they also have to manage a lot of emotions of buyers, and there's a lot of emotions in buying a house. And I don't know if I would enjoy that part. I think that's the part that I would really struggle with. I'd just be like, shut up, Bob. It's the house you want. You and I both know it. Let's put in an offer. Like I would be that way, and,
I
and
know.
so I
I
probably wouldn't
know.
sell very many houses. They'd be like, that guy's a jerk.
No, it's so true because a lot of buyers, agents I work with, they're like, this guy, he's like really, real picky, or it's a lot of emotion behind him.
A lot.
Sometimes they bring their dad out, which is great. They bring your dad in, but I'd be upstairs in my inspection. Dad's downstairs. He's literally like pulling back the baseboard around the kitchen cabinet. Like, you can't do that. He's going to crawl space. Like,
Yeah.
you can't be in dinner by yourself. And it's like, I see it as a buyer perspective. I can see why their dad would be there because they trust their parents or a family
Mhm.
member. But the thing is, though, we're guests in people's houses. We don't get allocated time so much in this house. So we can't. These clients, sellers leave this house for us to inspect it. They're driving around or probably the library, movies, whatever. They want to get back home. So we have so much time in these houses doing inspections, and there's a lot of inspectors out there like 4 or 5 hours in inspection. Like, one is just like, I work with you because you're efficient. You have a system and process. You guys how to do this thing clockwise. You're in and out. You don't miss nothing. And my clients don't call me back. This guy here 4 or 5 hours. So what's you taking a nap, eating lunch? I was like, she's like, I
Right.
don't know, James, but I'm going to call you from now on. So
Yeah. I just recently ran into a realtor friend of mine. He said, yeah, he says, my buyers really wanted to use this other company. And he's like, I'd like to refer you, but I was like, I get it. Like, I'm not offended. And he says, yeah, he says, man, this other guys came out. They did a good job. They were there for 5.5 hours, and we didn't get the report till almost a week later. And it was like, right. And so with today's technology and apps and the software we can use and the way it all integrates together, it cuts so much time off now, especially if you've been doing this for a while. It's real easy to get your system and process dialed in where you can get through a small to medium house within 2 to 3 hours and have your report done. And you can send the report the same day most of the time. At least we
exactly.
do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And because the software now is that way. And I know, like 15 years ago, that would have been really hard to do, but technology's advanced a lot. And so now it makes it easier. And so, I know there's even guys today, like you're saying, that are in our industry that I'm not sure, like how would you take 5 hours to do this inspection and then send the report a week later? I question that. Right. And they're like, but we really like the guy, but they don't want to use him because his systems and processes are inefficient. And
Exactly.
they'd rather work with a different company that gets it done quicker and treats your people really well too.
Exactly. Yeah. Because if we have inspection in the morning, like we do 9, 1 to 3, starts at 9 o'clock. I get that sent over before 5 o'clock. 1 it'll be sent over like at least like 7 or 6 o'clock, 6 or 7, because I got a lot of driving to do. So
Yeah.
a lot of it's done on site, but it'll be sent over within a few hours after the inspection. All the videos, the pictures, stuff like that. So for
Mhm.
sure, you have to actually have an organized system.
Yes.
I think a lot of these inspectors out there take 4 or 5 hours. They're new. They're on social media. They're fed by a lot of fear factors. Like, you gotta call this out, you're gonna get sued. You're gonna call this out, you get sued. And they're like calling everything out. Agent gets like a 160-page report. They're like, I can't read this thing. Where should I start?
Yeah.
And the buyer
Yeah.
looks at it, first time homeowner, like, oh my gosh, look at things wrong with his house. Nope, I'm not buying it. Even though the things they found are such easy fixes.
Yes.
Because in my first podcast with you, I use an analogy of squirrels, chipmunks, and elephants. Home was built in 1962. It's a used house. These are very common things we find. We're here first to find squirrels, chipmunks. Squirrels, chipmunks are things you see in every house. Majority of things you can take care of when you move in. We're here for big ticket items, broken trusses, bone-in walls, mold, stuff like that. So Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really important. You got to set the expectations and, make sure that everybody's on the same page with that too. But yeah, so the company's been growing. You add an inspector. That's a fun journey. It's, I think back to when I was adding my first inspector or two. It was my training process was not great. I thought it was good at the time, but it wasn't great. And along the way, we've improved it. You start training more and more, doing more and more of it. You start to realize, oh, I could do this better, just like any other thing. And so it's a fun stage in the business in some ways. It also has its unique set of stressors as well when you're growing and adding like that. And so I want to go back because you said something about like growing at like 18%, I think is what you said.
Oh
And
yeah.
so at 18% growth, you said this offline, I think, and you had said, yeah, our revenue is up to 18%. Our inspection count hasn't gone up 18%, which means your actual per ticket price is going up at a
Mhm.
reasonable amount. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, because a couple of factors. We started doing more bundle packages, adding. We send emails and texts out to our clients about additional services we offer. We started doing pay at closing, which is a really nice feature through our software because it helps offset the cost of the inspection to closing. We still get paid out through our software 24 hours later or 48 hours
Yeah.
later. So those are really nice things we offer. I think also offer like it's like well, I got one tomorrow in Strongsville. Guy's a veteran. He's like, hey, we get veteran discounts. VA loans, you need a termite inspection, get a half off on that. And that's what once you guys start thinking outside the box, take off your inspector hat, put in your sales hat on. That's what a
Yeah.
lot of inspectors out there. They're like, well, I'm inspector. Yes, that's your role, that's your company, but you're here to grow your company, and that's where I'm at right now. My trainee, he's great. I'm gonna get another one, so I can get out and grow the business, get out of the field. Because I'm 52 years old. I've hired a 20-year-old, body a 52-year-old, and it's just like so hard. It's like here's tell you the truth. The other day on the attic, right?
Hmm.
Looking down the ladder, I'm like, told myself in my mind, if I slip and fall, game over. That's it. I'm done. So it's like that's the reason why I want to hire. So, but touching your topic earlier, yeah, that's the reason why we see a high ticket cost. Our prices, we've raised our prices up as well. We're not the cheapest people on the street. And I explain to our clients on the phone when you call in, I see you spend this much money on the house, and you're worried about $50 difference. Listen, ABC 1, 2, 3 XYZ, especially coming down there, will be a lot cheaper than me. Trust me, they will. But they're going to be in an hour and a half. They don't do this, but they don't do gas different tests. The things I start explaining on the phone with my clients, well, what makes this different? Why a review speak for itself? And they're like, okay, we'll go with you guys. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that's really important to differentiate yourself too. And, and yeah, like every once in a while, someone wants to price shop us as well. And we're like, oh yeah, no, there's definitely cheaper inspectors. And if you want a cheap inspection, call the cheap guy and he'll give you a cheap inspection for a cheap price. I was like, but in this industry, you get what you pay for. And, and
Exactly.
we're not the cheapest guy in town because we do the best quality in town. And so if you want the best inspection, that's us. If you want the cheapest one, that's this company down the road. And, and we understand if saving $20 is your biggest concern on this home purchase. I get it.
Yeah.
And
Because
but by that, yeah, like 99% of the time they're like, well, okay, I'm not trying to just save $20 here, and it's, yeah. And they're like, all right. And then one of the things that I think is interesting too, is that a home inspection is the one thing you're paying for in the transaction that will make you money. Everything else costs you
exactly.
money, but the home inspection
Right.
makes you money because we find issues in the house that give you the opportunity to go back and renegotiate with the seller. And more often than not, you spend $800 or whatever it is, $1,000 on your home inspection. More often than not, you're going to get more than that back on repairs that have been negotiated or price concessions. Because a lot of times they're like, all right, well, gee, I was willing to pay you, the $300,000 that I offered and accepted, but I didn't know all this. But now that I know this, I'll still pay you the 300,000, but I'd like you to put a new water heater in and then do this and do the other thing. And then the seller's like, oh, I didn't realize my water heater was leaking either, and so, yeah, no, and like, okay, I find you out, do that. And, water heaters cost more than home inspections. And so, it's like the home inspection makes money almost every single time.
That's exactly true. Another day, a client calls in. He's like, well, I'm going to call around for somebody else cheaper. I said, well, you can. They're going to be cheaper, but they're going to be thorough detail as we are. Because
Yeah.
the thing with our inspection reports, you can send back to the seller. It's like, listen, here's why he's found and what is repaired or credited. you're actually making more money after the inspection versus paying inspection cost. Because I told people are like, we're in Cleveland. Anybody in Cleveland metro area knows these words. Mitchell's ice cream, the best ice cream, or Handles. So I told people we're like Mitchell's ice cream. You get what you pay for, because it's like quality over quantity. You're going to go back to the same report. The inspector found this wrong. I found this. I want this credited or repaired. You're going to come out ahead versus behind. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I think inspections are, I think it's fun to sell it too. I think I'm a better salesman than I was a home inspector. I can be honest. Once we got some good inspectors in the field and I started getting out of the field, they run with it. Like, and the quality of work that we do now in the field is way better than when I was doing it. And I'm okay admitting that. In the beginning, I had a hard time with admitting that, but they do a better job now than I did. And so I'm grateful for that. And then, my operations team, they do a better job answering the phones and getting things scheduled and taking care of the details. They do a better job than I ever did. And I knew that on day one, because that is not my strong suit as far as making sure that every little detail is done right. Like, I appreciate it. I know it needs to be done, but they're just very, very organized and very good at that. And so they do a much better job in the operations. And so it's allowed me to really focus on the growth side of the business, marketing, sales, retention. And right now I'm in the middle of trying to hire a growth rep to help with those types of activities. And so it's, I've been looking for that. So that was my goal this year, is to find that person and then hopefully hire them at some point this year. And so I've identified the person that I'm headhunting right now. And so we've had a few conversations. And so I'm like, all right, I think I got an opportunity here to get them over here. And they do business development for a title company here in town. And so I have watched her in action because we'll show up at all the same events. So I've seen her in action with all the realtors and everybody else. And I'm like, I like the way she carries herself. I like the way that she handles things. I would like to have her as part of the face of the business, and helping doing the growth activities. And so then it's like, okay, I've been headhunting her now for almost 2 months trying to get. So like we had a conversation and I was like, okay, I think, and her husband were there. And so we had this whole conversation. And I was like, all right, I think there's an open door. And then the husband's the one who included me in, because
Cool.
she had like went to the restroom or something. And so him and I were talking and he was like, she's really interested. And I was like, okay. I was like, she's playing hard to get. And he's like, yeah. I was like, got it. And I was like, he's like, she wants to make a little bit more money. And so I was like, well, what does she need to make? And he's like, well, she'd like to be. And so he can spill the beans and all the way through. And I was like, gotcha.
Wow.
And so I was like, got it. And I was like, well, I really want her here. And so like, I think I can make that happen. Let me see what I can do. So anyhow, we're right in the middle of that process of headhunting her over. So I'm really excited for that. Like, that's going to be kind of fun. So my goal this year was to find that person. I've identified the person, so now I'm trying to get her over. And then my goal is, that's for 2026, we're 2026 and 2027 next year. My goal is to get her totally dialed up and have her really running the entire growth division.
Yeah. And that's the thing though. My business coach said the same thing. I want to hire a growth coordinator. He's like, no, you got to hire an inspector, get out of the field, which trust me, I do. I'm going to get him signed off, hire somebody else too. Let's get out in the field. I'm the growth coordinator. They hired up close inspection. They hired me. So I'm the face of business. So
yes,
I need to get out there. That's the reason why he said, no, you're a growth coordinator. You got to do, he goes, you love talking to people. You love helping people grow their business, which, a lot of agents love. Agents love working with us too. We help grow their business. So he goes, no, you got to do that. But I did want to touch on one thing though. This year as well, I hired an office receptionist. She answers our phone calls. She calls agents back, calls my clients back. That's been a huge burden off my shoulders because, I'm an inspection. I'm doing inspection. Like, hi, I'll close inspection. How can I help you? Like, it's awkward. So no, she handles the calls. She does all that. Also hires somebody who does she does our emailing, texting, mass emailing, stuff like that, our campaigns, social media, stuff like that. So a lot of things I don't do. I refer it out to other people because my goal is to grow the business, not be behind a keyboard doing all this stuff. No, my job is to get out of the field and grow the business with other agents.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I was going to say that's it. That's the goal. You got to like replace the different pieces, right? Because as the owner in the beginning, you're wearing every single hat, and then you got to be honest and look in the mirror and say, okay, what do I really love doing, and what am I really good at doing, and what can I do that only I can do in this company? Well, you know what? Somebody else can manage your CRM. That doesn't need to be the owner of the business. Somebody else can be answering the phones and getting things in the calendar and managing that. That doesn't have to be the owner. I do think in the field in the beginning, being out there is important, but I also think you can train inspectors, but the person that can't really be replaced is as the owner is, I think you need to be available for realtors to talk to you and whatnot. But you got to also figure out what is your strength. For some owners, like their technical abilities are far superior than anybody else. So they need to be a technical resource inside of their company. I'm not that guy. I'm not I have guys that are way smarter than me. So I'm not the technical resource on how to inspect a house. And I know that, but I'm more of a marketing sales guy. I know that's my strength. So I've really hired everything else and really leaned into that. And so it's not one size fits all of who you should hire when in your journey. I think you got to customize it to who are you and what are your goals and what are you strong at, and then hire your weaknesses. And so, like for example, I don't have a growth person. I'm the only growth person in my company, and we're on track to do $2.6 million in revenue this year. And we have 10 inspectors, and we're setting up, we're going to go over 3 million next year. And it's like at this size, I'm just now hiring a growth person. Whereas other businesses and other business owners, they might need to hire growth people earlier because maybe that's not their strongest suit and they need help in that area to be able to expand. Whereas for me, I love that activity. I love doing growth stuff. So that lights my fire and I get up excited to do growth things. I don't get excited to go do an inspection, where some guys are very technically minded and they need to hire growth people to help keep the phone ringing, And so where's your strength at? Where's your weaknesses at? Staff your weaknesses right away. And then you can really focus on growing the business from whichever seat that is your strong suit of that seat, and so that's a huge encouragement. Like, I think whatever order you do it in is do it from that perspective. I don't think you can go like, well, Matt did it this way. James did it that way. Bob's doing it this way. It's like, well, wait a minute. I think you got to do it the way that fits you and your personality.
Exactly. That's so true, because like people I love how so much charisma and energy you bring in the room when you come to be my client,
Yeah. Yeah.
because that's how I am. That's how my light, salt of the earth. That's who I am.
Yeah.
Let my light shine, my friend. That's how I
Yep.
am, because my other inspector, he's great. He's really technical, but he's not really a people person. So he does his job, he's great, but you have to find your niche, like you said. Like you said earlier, most companies hire growth coordinator earlier. Talk to other inspectors, but business coach like, no, you're great. You got to get out in the field. I want to get out of the field. Trust me. I love what I do. Trust me. But my heart is helping people, helping agents I work with grow their business and help them see how we're so much different from other inspection companies out in the market. Because yeah, it's amazing business. I love what I do, but my heart is into helping people and grow their business. That's why I get out there, go to more events. People are like, oh, hey, there's an event going on this weekend. Do you have time? I can't. I got him training him. I'm in the field.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point of burnout. Like, I love what I do, but it's like, I'm 52 years old. I got hired a 20-year-old, but I bought a 50-year-old. I got to get out and grow. So, and people, when they hire me, like, when you hire call us, you're hiring up close inspections. My inspector will be my twin. He's younger. He has better hairstyle than I do. He's great. He's great personality. You trust me, he'd be better. So yeah,
I agree about the
Right?
hairstyle. Like, and for those who are listening, don't have the video. We're both bald, and so we have the
Yes, we are.
sexiest hairstyle you could possibly imagine.
Yeah. We get bad
God
hair
only
days.
made a few perfect heads, and
Yeah.
he had to cover the rest of them up with hair. And
Right.
so these people
That's
have these
true.
big flowing locks of hair, and I'm just like, yeah, that's just a shame. Their head is so messed up that God had to like cover it with hair. And so it's I feel sorry for those guys, actually. I wish they could also have a perfect head like us, but
Yes.
not everybody's
And they-
blessed like us.
And they try to. They shave it like, put your hair back. You need to grow your hair again. That's a little good. Right? So yeah.
Have you seen that trend on social media where they joke around that women are bald diggers now, not gold diggers? Like
No.
I saw there's these clips that I've been keep seeing, probably because I bald my algorithm. like follows me, but it's like this guy, like he's wearing a hat and he's trying to hit on this group of girls and they're all like, I don't know, nah, nah, and he's like, all right, whatever. And he's like, starts to walk away and takes his hat off. And then all of them go like, oh my gosh, no, come back, come back. And they're like, no, you're a bunch of ball diggers. And they walk away, and
That's funny.
and so
No,
there's
I
like,
didn't see
I
that.
keep seeing like versions of that popping up all over my social media over the last few months. And I just die laughing every
Wow.
time.
That's
And so
crazy. I gotta
it's
check it
pretty
out
far.
now.
It's pretty far
Yeah,
from reality, I'm sure,
that's awesome.
but because I don't have anybody hitting on me because I'm bald. But yeah, that's good. Anyhow, yeah, we all both have that great haircut.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly, yes. So,
that's awesome, man. Hey, it's been really good having you on the show again and catching
yes.
back up and just chatting about business and life and so I'm sure there's people that are listening that are would love to get a hold of you or and ask you any questions. And so, what's the best way for someone to get a hold of you?
Yeah, great question. Thanks for asking, Matt. There's many ways you can contact us. First, you can text me here at the office. It's 440-865-0763. You can find us on social media. I'm on WhatsApp. Email me at office@upcloseinspections.net, or you can email me, james@upcloseinspections.net. So there's many multiple ways you can contact us. Go through our website, upcloseinspections.net. Contact me on there. If you're an inspector in the area who wants to be an inspector, needs some guidance and wants to help grow your business, give me a call. I do want to mention one thing though, real quick. I had an inspector reach out to me, help him grow his business. I contacted him today, like, hey, I need your help. The inspectors have to realize we're here to help each other grow their business, like agents are. We're here, there's a family, a brotherhood, sisterhood together with inspectors. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's good to be good friends with the other inspectors in
Yeah.
your neighborhood. And
Yes.
I try to do that same thing, is reach out to them, and yeah, and so I think it's a good thing. So, man, it's been really great having you on the show. All your contact
Thank
info will be
you.
in the show notes, and so awesome, man. Well, it was great catching up, and I can't wait to see you again next time.
You too. Thanks, Matt. Take care.